As we discussed, functions are the building blocks of programs. We have actually been working with functions from the beginning of this course, when we used some of the built-in processing functions such as ellipse, line, fill, and so on. What we will learn in this session is how to define our own functions and how to use them. In processing, when we define our own function, we have to specify the function's return type, the function's name, and if it has any arguments. This is called the function signature. Once we define the signature, we also have to write code for the function, which will basically say what this building block will do. Once we have fully defined a function, that is, with its signature and body, we have to call it in the draw or setup parts of the code. The flowchart for using functions is something like this. Decompose the program into many parts. Define the function signature. Define the function body. Call the function where needed. Let's say we want to define a function that draws concentric green circles with various shades of green, like this. We'll call this function green circles and we'll define it like this. It will not return anything because it will just draw, so its return type is void. The name is green circles and it has no arguments. The function body is this, drawing 4 concentric circles with various shades of green. Let's now call the function in the draw function. You probably noticed by now that both draw and setup are functions themselves. These are also predefined functions which are part of processing, like ellipse, line fill, and so on. Let's expand this code to draw some concentric red circles to the right of these green circles. The new function, similar to the first green circles function, will not return anything and will not have any arguments. The function body is very similar to the green circles function, and I will call it in the draw function after I've called the green circles function. Ta-da! Now, if we look closely at the code, we can see that the green circles function and the red circle function have very similar bodies. The only things that are different are the colors used to draw the circles and the position of the center of the circle, which is 200, 200 in the case of the green circles functions and 400, 200 in the case of the red circles one. We can improve our program using functions with arguments. Remember when we called the function ellipse just now? We called it using the function name, ellipse, then some numbers inside the brackets. These numbers tell the ellipse function where exactly to draw the ellipse and are called the function arguments or parameters. The use of arguments allows us to draw various ellipses of different shapes and in different positions. We will be doing the same using our circles example. We will define a function simply called circles, which will draw concentric circles of any color we want at any position. And we will call this function many times to show how creative we can get without writing too much code. Let's begin. First, we'll define the function signature like this. First the return type, then the name, then the function arguments. The first 3 arguments are the color components, red, green, and blue. The next 2 arguments are the position of the circle centers, x and y. We want to be even more creative and we'll add another parameter that captures the size of the initial circle. The function body looks like this. Notice that we have to do a bit of processing to determine which values, red, green, or blue, to decrease. We'll do this simply based on whether the value of the argument is greater than 0. If it is, we'll decrease it. Let's draw some concentric circles with various shades of blue, and this time a larger size. Instead of writing another function for them, we'll just call the function circles like this. And of course, we can draw circles with purple shades like this. The same ideas about statement orders apply here as well. If a function, in our case the one drawing purple circles, is called after another function, say the blue circle drawing one, then the results of the last function will be drawn on top. If we want the blue circles to appear on top, then we will have to call the circles function with the bluish arguments last, like so.